Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Bobby and we are back with a lens review. Now, this is a lens you rarely see in a shop, for that matter. They don't make that many of them, and when they do, they're usually pre-ordered in advance and they go right to the owner. We were very fortunate to get our hands on it for a couple days. The Noctilux 75mm 1.25. Now, I do want to thank Leica Singapore very much for allowing me to even try this lens out. Again, this video is not sponsored. They didn't even ask me to shoot anything. They're like, Bobby, just go and shoot with it, see what you think of it. And I thought it's such a rare lens, we got to do a video. So I'm going to give you my thoughts on the lens, what's inside of it, is it worth the price that Leica is asking for? So let's get down to it. Now, before we get to the nuts and bolts of this lens, let's talk a little bit about the history of the Noctilux. Now, the Noctilux was created in 1966. It was a 50mm lens at the time with an f1.2. Now, that was the fastest lens that Leica made at that point in time. And it was all handmade. So that means the glass was hand cut. It was a double spherical lens as well. An spherical element in the front and an spherical element in the back. That lens was around till about 1975. Then in 1976, Dr. Walter Mandler created the next version of the Noctilux, the f1.0 50mm. Now, Mandler lenses are revered by collectors of Leica. In essence, he created that Leica look with a lot of the lenses he designed. And the 50 f1 had just so much of that look. It is a beautiful lens. It's not optically perfect. It's got chromatic aberration, there's vignetting and all that stuff, but in the center, it's beautiful. And today, those lenses, like I said, people search high and low for them. Now, that series of lenses, the f1.0 in the 50mm, had 4 reiterations before in 2008, it was replaced by the 50 f.95 that Peter Carb designed. And Peter Carb is still with Leica today. He's designing all the modern lenses with Leica. And the 50.95 took a whole different reiteration from the f1.0. It was sharper. It had that much more modern rendering of the images that we're used to seeing today. Resolving power-wise, it's much higher than the f1. So even with cameras that we have today at 47 megapixels and above, the 50.95 will still resolve images beautifully. But then in 2017, Leica decided to create another Noctilux, the 75mm f1.25. Now, a lot of people thought that this lens was designed to sort of kind of update the 75 Summilux f1.4 that Dr. Mandler created back in the day. And in a way it is. It's optically more correct, it's better, designed, and it's faster at f1.25, and a lot more expensive. Now let's talk what's inside this lens. You have 9 elements, 6 groups, 2 spherical elements, 1 floating element. Your minimal focusing distance is 0.85 meters, and the weight of this lens comes in at 1,005 grams. It's a kilo for this lens. And you're thinking, wow, that's heavy, right? Yes and no. When you think of the engineering that's in this lens, and you look at the size of it comparatively, this is on an M10, it's not that big. It's 1.25, aperture. That's a very, very fast lens. And if you want to put a filter on this, you need a filter size of 67 millimeters on that. So just take note. And the price is approximately 19,000 Singapore dollars. Yes, you heard me correctly, 19,000 Singapore dollars. With the M10, which is around 11,000 Singapore dollars, yeah, this is $30,000 around my neck right now. It doesn't shine, doesn't bling, but it does take amazing photos. Oh, that it does. That it does. So what's it like to use on the M10? Well, this really pushes the limitations of an optical viewfinder on a rangefinder, especially with 75mm at 1.25. You really have such a thin, shallow depth of field that unless your eyesight is 20/20, unless you have a magnifier in the back of this thing, it's gonna be damn hard to get that shot sharp. It can be done. I was able to do it a few times, but I did have to rely on the live focusing with focus peaking to make that happen. Now, the good thing about Leica systems is that when you do live focusing, it actually automatically zooms in to nail the shots. You really got a better chance of nailing that focus versus using the optical viewfinder. I would say that this lens works much better on, let's say, the Leica SL, because of the size of the SL, because of the balance and the weight of everything, and because of the great EVF. You're really gonna nail your shots a lot more on that. But it was designed for the rangefinder. And it's an amazing lens, it really is. I have to say, the images that I got, I took it around a little bit, and when you nail it, you really nail it. And wide open at 1.25, it's stunningly sharp. And here's the thing with this lens, you're paying 19,000 Singapore dollars to shoot wide open. So for people that go, what about shooting down to f4, f5, or f8? Why would you do that? Go get the 75 Summicron for a quarter of the price. You use this lens because you want wide open, you want that beautiful bokeh, you want just that depth of field that just makes you go, wow. That's why you spend this kind of money. But there's one thing I'm not a fan of on this lens. It has nothing to do with the optical quality, okay? It has something to do with the aperture ring, and it's the design of it, and especially from 1.25 to 1.4. Now on every Leica glass, I mean, there's clicks for every aperture that you go to, there's a little bit of tension, but on this lens, the 1.25 and the 1.4 are so close together that I'm finding myself like mistakenly clicking it to 1.4 without even trying. And I kind of wish that Leica would have separated them a little bit more or made the ring a little bit more, the tension a little bit tighter so it stays in place, because there's times I'm thinking, oh, I got that shot at 1.25 because if you're spending $19,000, you want to shoot at 1.25. But then I look at the XF data on Lightroom and it's 1.4. So I'm like, oh man. So you do need to take note of that when you're using this lens, is make sure if you want to be at 1.25, double check before you shoot, because it's very easy to switch to 1.4. So do I think it's worth $19,000? Well, I'm not going to put a price on engineering and talent, and there's obviously a lot of that goes in this. But would I spend $19,000 on this lens? Now that's another question. I would say because the lens only goes down to 1.25 and the next stop is 1.4, it's such a minute difference that I would honestly look at the 75 Summilux 1.4 from back in the day, the Walter Mandler design, and I would probably get that one. It's, again, a lot less on the secondhand market because they no longer make the lens. Yes, I appreciate the engineering. Yes, it's amazing what they can do with this lens like this, but it's not like a Noctilux 0.95, if you know what I'm saying. It's not that like below f1 where you go, okay, that's special, that's unique, and that size of a lens, I'm willing to spend that amount of money. On this, I don't know if I could do it. But if I had the means, I would get the 0.95 and get the 75 Summilux, and I'd have like a little bit left over for a camera bag. That's on the secondhand market, of course. But I mean, anyway, I do thank Leica Singapore for allowing me to take this lens out for a little bit to try it out. Thank you guys very much, and hope you guys enjoyed this review. Anyway, any questions you have on the 75 Noctilux, hit us in the comments section below. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. We love you guys. Thank you so much for your support. Follow us on Facebook. Until the next one, take care.